2, 3, 4.
Welcome back to the Circle Eavesdroppers. We knew you'd be listening. We're your queen bees. I'm Kim.
And I'm Bree.
And you're listening to Without a Clique podcast. If you're new here, then we would love for you to join our circle. So grab a seat, they fill quickly. And also, if you enjoy our content and would like to support us, then you can join our inner circle over on Patreon, where you can luxuriously enjoy ad-free podcasts and bonus exclusive content. If not, then you can still show your support by heading over to TikTok and following us or subscribing to our channel. Thanks in advance. So on last Monday's episode, we talked about the Queen archetype, which was so much fun. It's personally one of my faves. And this week, we're going to talk about the Huntress. So the Huntress archetype is basically the personification of the independent female spirit. So her primary concern is her autonomy and attaining her personal goals that she sets for herself.
I really like the Huntress archetype. She aims at her target and she literally does not miss. Like she puts the hunt in Huntress. Okay, like I really love her. She's not afraid to run with the wolves. You can't see if you're listening on podcast, but I'm holding up the book, Women Who Run with Wolves. I have a whole book about this. Okay, so I'm in my zone.
I'm about to say, talk about being in your bag, honey.
Right? I'm in my book bag.
In her, ooh, look at that.
But what I like about the Huntress is that she doesn't have to be defined by anyone, and especially not in relationships. This is the type of archetype that breaks the boundaries of the patriarchal society. So she truly believes in having her own identity in herself, just like the Queen archetype that we talked about last week. Having her own freedom is extremely important. It is like the core of who she is. And this is what sets her apart from the Queen, because the Queen will give up some of her autonomy for the right person. But for the Huntress, that's non-negotiable.
Like non-negotiable at all. And when I think of creating your own identity, I automatically think of like Solange and Erykah Badu. Like they've always been themselves unapologetically. And to me, that's an admirable trait to have, because even if in some of us, like we are that way, like they truly embody that in its purest form. And I think that whenever you're able to channel that energy and then you pair it with the lover, which we'll get into a little bit later, you become like truly enticing.
Yes, twin. That's so true. And speaking of energy, she puts 100% into whatever she's doing. She's a very goal-oriented person and she's competitive with herself. Not so much so with others, because she kind of carves out a lane of her own. She's looking back and saying, how can I be better? And how can I become the best? She's very committed to causes that she cares about. And she's going to be on the front lines, always standing up for what she believes in. And by the way, we're saying she and her, but we don't believe that like these archetypes or energies are anchored to one specific gender.
Right. We're just saying she and her because we both are women. So we're trying to put ourselves in these shoes. And so when we address it, we address it as ourselves. But going back to what you said about like she's competitive against herself, that's so true, especially if you think about Serena Williams. I think that, and then I'm not saying that she doesn't have competition or she doesn't look at anyone as competition, but you definitely don't see it. She competes with like the best of herself time and time again. And she's a natural leader on and off the court. And she portrays almost every element that we've mentioned about the Huntress. And more than that, she just kind of dominates in every area of her life. And that's what makes her enticing and inspiring, because she's like not just one dimensional. She's very well rounded. She's the best pro athlete in her lane. Don't get on our comments talking about she's not. She is. And she rules in that. And I'm not saying that there aren't other good tennis athletes, but Serena has made a name for herself time and time again. And that's because she's consistent in pursuing the goals that she sets for herself. And out of her profession, she's a mother, she's a wife, and she's an inspiration. And she has her own identity apart from her husband and even her sister, who was a tennis athlete as well.
Yeah, and much like how we may step into the Queen archetype at work or in certain social settings, some of you eavesdroppers may have to step into the Huntress's archetype to help you assert yourself and to speak up for yourself or others, making sure that you're heard just as much as you're seen in the world.
Exactly. And you have to be very competent in order to speak up for other women in the world, even yourself, but definitely for other women. And that's exactly what the Huntress is. She's competent, she's independent, and she's a natural protector of other women.
There's so many interesting stories in media and literature you can see it in. I think we can learn a lot from her or from this archetype.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, that is the 411 on the Huntress archetype. If you like this episode and you want to listen to it ad-free, you can join us over on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free content along with bonus content and early access to every episode. But if that's not your thing, just head over to TikTok, give us a follow, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. But yeah, eavesdroppers, that's it for today's episode. See you guys later on this week, because we're signing off.